Alright guys, welcome to another episode of Skyblock tutorials for CubeCraft. Today we're going to be talking about a spider spawner farm that is completely automated, and it also has the capability to give you drops like spider eyes for some of the quests if you need them. So before we get into the tutorial on how to go ahead and build it, let's give you a quick view of it here. All of the spiders are spawning, ultimately coming up into this little kill chamber that is full of water source blocks, and they all drown and drop their loot into some hoppers below. So we've got a single chest here, and then we expanded it into some double chests here, but as you can see, quite a bit of stuff in here, and it doesn't take very long for those chests to fill up. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the tutorial on how to build it. So we're in our creative world now, and before we dive into the build, let's just take a quick look at some of the materials that we'll need to build this thing out. So we're going to need a few stacks of building blocks. Whatever you want to use is fine, it doesn't really matter. We're going to need a few stairs, a couple chests, about 6 signs, a number of water buckets, about 9 pieces of glass, 5 wall blocks. It can be granite, stone, whatever you got, doesn't really matter. 6 hoppers, and then a good number of fences to get this thing built. So not a lot of complication here, but this is a quick look at some of the things you'll need to go ahead and build this. The first thing you're going to want to do here is build 2 squares next to each other like this. So the first one, the big one, is a 11 by 11 square. You want to go ahead and outline that, fill it all the way in, don't leave any blocks open, and then on any one of the sides, it doesn't really matter, you will put a 5 by 5 square directly in the middle. So you'll see there's 3 blocks on either side of this, and this will form the foundation of the grinder. Once you've gone ahead and built your platform that is going to serve as the base of the mob farm, what you'll want to do is go ahead and build up the walls on the 11 by 11 block up to 7 blocks tall. So what that'll mean is you'll add 6 blocks here. So I just have some different colors here, so you can see it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So go ahead and build the walls up 6 on each side. And then the other thing is in the front of it, where the 5 by 5 boxes, you will want to also build up the corners to the height of the mob spawner, but just on this side. So you'll have something that looks like this when you're all done. The next step here is to build the platform that will help the water flow the way that we want it to. So what you're going to do is on the front of the spawner, you're going to come into each of the corners. We'll just go to the one on the right here. We'll place a block, and then we'll go 4 diagonally, so 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll place 1 more, so 5, and then we'll just repeat that on this side. So you should have something that looks like this. It should be symmetrical, with the middle block being in this spot with 3 open blocks before you get to the wall. And then once you have that, you're going to go ahead and just fill all of these spaces in. So I'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll go on to the next step. Once you have all that filled in, it should look something like this. And the next step is to start building out the kill chamber for the spiders. So in order to do that, we need to make sure they can actually flow into it when the water's added. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the middle block here, and then we're going to break this one, and then we'll break 1 on either side. So you should have a 3 wide space here with only 1 block high. Now the other thing we're going to do is we're going to add our stone walls right here. This just kind of helps mitigate any sort of climbing that the spiders might try to do as they're flowing into the kill chamber. So we're going to go ahead and get that built, and then go on to the next step. Alright, so the next step here is to make the kill chamber the right size. In order to do that, we need to make sure that it is 5 blocks tall, including the base that we built originally. So you'll want to build up 4 more blocks from where you're at, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. And then go ahead and fill in all the sides. Make sure they are 5 blocks tall on each side. And then what you're going to want to do is come back to the wall that's still open here, and go out 2, and just fill this in completely. And so when you look down, you should see you've got a 3x3 box here. Now the next step is going to be building the mechanism to collect all of the drops. So we're going to go ahead and grab a chest here, and what we're going to do is we're going to go in the middle, we're going to break that block, put a chest again, and then we're going to break the 6 blocks around that, and then just make sure that our hoppers all funnel into the chest. So it should look something like this. So when you look down, all you see is the hoppers and the chest. Next, we're going to go ahead and place some glass here just so we can see what's going on. And then we're going to use some stair blocks to block this up and still be able to open our chest. And then the last step here is going to be filling in the rest of the front here so that you are left with a hole that looks like this. Next, we're going to get all the water placed here in the chamber. So first thing you're going to want to do is drop in here, and on the backs of the stairs that we placed, you'll place 3 signs. One other thing I'll mention here is on CubeCraft, when we were building this, there was a bit of a bug with the stairs where we placed them and they appeared to be invisible. They were like the block was there, but you couldn't see it. Logging out and logging back in seemed to fix it. So if you encounter that, there's a quick tip on how to try to circumvent that. So anyways, we'll put the first 3 signs on the bottom here, and then we'll put 3 more on this spot here. And then what we're going to do is go ahead and place our water. So we'll place 3 blocks on the bottom 3 signs here on the front. So 1, 2, 3. You should see it turn into a bit of a source block there. And then we'll come up here and we'll make sure that we place 6 blocks here, or at least to the point where it becomes a water source block like this as well. Then we're going to go ahead and just put a glass roof onto the chamber here, and the guild chamber is all done. Alright, the second to last step here, or I guess there's 2 more steps after this, but the next one is to go ahead and place the water blocks that will help the spiders flow into the kill chambers. What you're going to want to do is go into each of the back corners, and then place a water block 1 up from the floor. So right here in this corner will be the first one, right here in that corner will be the second one, and then you can see the water all connect and then ultimately flow down there into that 1x3 hole. Alright, the next step is to go ahead and place your spawners. So what we're going to do is we're just going to grab some example spawners here for the time being, and then what you're going to want to do is place 3 blocks like this, and then you can basically just alternate blocks and spawners to the point where you have 3 spawners in each row, like this. I guess technically you could probably place more spawners in there if you wanted to and just make them all next to each other, but as a baseline you can start with this and then add more spawners in if you want to. So you should have something that looks like this with spawners in a 3x3 square like that, or however many you've got. Alright, the last step that makes this a lot more efficient and just a lot more easy to work with is to actually place all of the open area with fence posts starting on top of the spawners. So in CubeCraft, at least, the spiders cannot spawn on fence posts, and so what this basically does is it forces them all to spawn underneath the spawners and in turn just flow in the water towards the kill chamber. It'll still work if you don't do this, but you'll have some spiders that will climb the walls and just, wait a minute and then maybe finally drop down and then go into the kill chamber, so this just kind of helps make it a little more efficient. Alright, so once you finish it, this is what it'll look like. You've got everything filled in with the fence posts, and then the last thing you can do just as a safety precaution is create a little overhang over the entire farm. That way, in the event a spider happens to spawn outside or something happens and they can get up the walls, they can't actually climb out of the spawner. So this is really what the finished product should look like. And from here, we can go ahead and test it out and see what it looks like. Alright, so in order to test it out, what I'm going to do real quick is just set this to normal, and I'll set the time to nighttime. And what you'll see is the spiders will spawn. They'll start flowing here into the kill chamber, and then they will start floating up into this part, and then you can kind of see the air bubbles here. This basically is their oxygen going down, and then in a second here you will see the spiders start taking damage. See that one right there in the corner is taking damage, and they will drown. And if we come back down here, you'll see that we're starting to collect string. So this is fully automated. You can just AFK with this next to any sort of mob grinder and get as much string as you want. There's one more thing we can do to the farm here to make it a little bit more interesting, and we'll talk about that next. Alright, so the one thing you might want to do at this farm is use it to get some spider eyes. So there are some quests later on in the quest chain that require you to get spider eyes, one of them being unlocking the nether. You need 200 of them, and drowning the spiders only gives you wool. They will not drop spider eyes as a result. And so one way to get around this is, what we can do is we can take this block that's right here, right above the first glass block on the left side. We'll place a fence post here, and then we'll break it. And what this allows you to do is actually take a we'll just take a sword here. Let's see, I'll just punch it. Alright, so we can take a sword or punch or whatever you want to do, and you can just sit here and you can actually click and punch them. The reason that this fence post is really important is if you do decide to put any cave spiders in here, this does work with them. Every once in a while they'll spawn in between the space of the spawner and the fence. You can break it and kill them if you need to. But if you are doing cave spiders, even if it's a half slab here, they can still actually get out and start attacking you. So what will happen if you put a fence post here is they will come to this front area, but because the fence post is here, the cave spiders cannot get out. So this isn't necessarily a requirement if you don't have cave spiders, although you do need something here to make sure that the water doesn't flow out. So this is how we got the 200 spider eyes pretty easily. To unlock the nether is by building this little addition here. You can sit here and actually just hit the spiders, and then the spider eyes, some of them might flow to you here as you're standing here, and then the rest of them will actually fall down into the chest, and you can just collect them there. So all that to say, this is a fully automated spider farm that works in Minecraft Bedrock Edition, and specifically it also does work on the CubeCraft server. And this is just an easy way to get a ton of string. You can also use that string for crafting wool for some of the other quests that require you to dye wool and do things like that. So you can see here I'm not sitting here for very long. These are just regular Minecraft spawners, so they're not super super efficient, and we've already got a third of a stack of string in here, so it does work pretty quickly. And there you go. So if you like this video, go ahead and leave a comment below. I'd love to hear any feedback you guys have, and feel free to like and subscribe it as well. So hopefully we will be making some more videos soon with other really awesome spawners and just other cool things that we build on our Skyblock island. So we'll talk to you guys later.